right. Welcome to Journey to Salvation. I'm your host, Arlene Polite. And my special guest today is Precious Nealy-Hill. Hey, Precious, how you doing?
Hi, how are you, Miss Arlene?
I'm doing well. It is such a pleasure to have you on my show today. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year to you also.
Yeah. And I thank God for this show because, you know, we're able to give to help others to see the path to salvation. It's not a straight one, but I can't wait to hear your testimony because I know it's awesome. It's great. And so Precious, when you started this journey, tell us how you got started and take us through your journey to salvation.
Okay, when I was younger, I got saved probably about 5 times because when I'm at church, I would hear the heaven and hell ministry. And the pastor would say, not you're going to hell, but you're going to bust it wide open. So I didn't want to bust it wide open. So I got saved about 5 times in, my teenage years before I really became serious.
And let me tell you, hey y'all, this is Veronica's daughter. I want y'all to know that they will have you cracking up all day. Okay. Yes, Precious. We have a lot of us. I think a lot of us start our Christian walk because we didn't want to go to hell. Period. Okay. It's not because we didn't understand a lot of things, but we want to live and we want to live in a safe place. So that's how you got started. You heard that message. So and you say about what age were you conscious of that? What age did you pay attention to that?
I've really been saved when I first got saved.
When you when you heard that message
I've been raised in the church, so I've heard it like all my life from the time I was 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, so when did you grew up in church? Okay, so when did you start your journey with the Lord?
When I really got serious about maybe about 2021, that's when I really got serious and started to want to have a relationship with Him. Not from what my mom said or my grandma said, but I wanted to have a personal relationship with Him.
All right. And did you have any support person in your life or group that helped you to get started? Or once you got started?
Honestly, no. I mean, I grew up in the church. I got uncles that's pastors and things like that. But I've kind of seen where I didn't want to be that person who runs around the church 20 times on Sunday and be in a prayer line for the same thing every Sunday and not see any change. So I wanted a different experience than just having an emotional experience at church, because that's what I've seen a lot. So I started getting into my Bible and researching other things and listening to different pastors on TV instead of just the church that I went to.
Wow. So from observing everything, you came to that conscious decision that I did not want a lot of that shenanigans. I call it shenanigans.
Pretty much. Yes.
Wow. At that age, that's awesome. And okay, so when you got started, did you stay in the church? Did you get involved? What was that like?
I never actually, when I was a teenager, and I used to say, when I get out of graduate and go off out of my mom's house, I would never go to church. Not mad at God, but I feel like we was church from sun up to sundown, like 10 services a week. But when I got out and got on my own, I still went to church regularly. I didn't say I just dived into like a ministry, but I did do a little bit of ministry work, but not as much as the next person I would say would do it.
Okay. What kind of ministry? Like singing or teaching? What did you do?
I did the audio visual. That's what I started with. The AV ministry. That's what I started with. Because I figured you can wear your jeans, be behind the camera. You didn't necessarily have to sit and greet. That was an easier job, laid back a little bit. So that's why I picked the job.
And how long did you do that for?
I did it for about 2 years. I did it for about 2 years. Yes.
Okay. And what did you do next after you that part ended? What did you do next?
After I got a little older, maybe into my 30s, I started doing the youth ministry. I wasn't the full youth teacher, but I would do like every other third Sunday. Not too many. I only want to do about one Sunday a month, and then I really got into it by doing that.
Okay. Did you get a chance to go to different churches, or you just stayed in one church, or?
Yes, I did go to different churches. I did. I went to what I'm 36, so I've been to about 10 different churches since I've been grown. Yes.
Whoa. Were you searching for something specifically, or why did you attend so many different ones?
I guess when I start to see church, I call it behind the scenes, because when you grow up in church, you kind of know behind the scenes. So if I see anything that's pertaining to what I didn't like, or messiness, I would say, then I was like, okay, this is not for me. But I matured, and then now I know I can listen to a pastor, take what's needed, and then leave the rest.
Right.
So
Oh wow. Because I mean, yes, there is no perfect church, but wouldn't you say the leader makes a difference? But the
yes,
leader, yes.
yes,
Because you're always going to have people that are doing different things in church. I mean, people are there for different reasons.
yes, ma'am.
But when we look at what's going on today, leadership plays such a big role in those gatherings, and it's important to listen. How did your mother play? What part did she play in your growth as a Christian?
My mom showed me that Jesus can change a person, because growing up, my mother wasn't a mother. She was there physically, but she wasn't there mentally. And now my mom is awesome. She does speaking engagements. She's wonderful with the my kids, which is her grandkids. But when I was growing up, I thought my mom was slightly a little crazy, but now I know she had anxiety and depression. So now I know, to see my mom to the mom that she is now, God had to do that. So that's what really made me,
Yeah.
a person wants to change, they can change, because my mom is my prime example.
Yes, yes. And we have heard, a lot of people have heard her testimony. And I love her. I love Veronica Neely Morris. Her testimony is so awesome, and I'm so glad that she's allowing God to use her. So I know you have a very strong foundation, because Veronica, she's just awesome like that. Other than your mom,
Mhm.
because and one thing and I don't want to, I really want to point this out. You saw your mom, her growth
Yes, I did.
as her child, and sit down and have conversations with you about her past, things that she's been through, or even as she's raising you, did she have conversation with you as her daughter?
When I was younger, like in my school years, no, she didn't. I just knew something wasn't quite right. Like, she didn't come to any of my events. I was a cheerleader. She didn't come to my games. I graduated. She didn't stay afterwards. So I knew something was not right, but I just didn't know what. But I started to resent her when I got older and I had my own kids. But then she told me the story of her past and what happened to her in childhood. So that gave me a new light. So I didn't like grow up to resent my mom, because I realized that there was a reason why. And then she chose to take the steps to correct it. And now she's a wonderful mother, and she talks to me every day and give me life lessons, and she's awesome to my grandkids. So I'm glad that she did tell me her story, so that way I would know why she was the way she was.
Yes, and I want our audience to hear this clearly, because there are a lot of parents that feels like they didn't have what it takes to give to their children, but not to stay there, because your mom was able to get up and to do differently from what her
Yes,
past has given to her. She was able to rise up from that and now pass on something great and awesome to you.
yes.
When during those times that you knew that something was wrong, did you ask your mom anything? Did you have conversation? Did you approach her about it?
Well, growing up, we didn't have a strong communication, so I just knew to leave her alone, make sure the dishes washed, get my good grades, and be about my business. So no, I never asked her. But I do remember when I was probably in about ninth grade, I seen a commercial about depression. I say, hey mom, you have all the checks, because they was like, if you have this, if you stay in the house, if you don't talk to friends. I say, hey mom, that sounds like you. But she got upset with me and I left it alone. So I don't think back then she knew she had depression. I don't think she did. So,
What you
but we
say?
laugh about it now and cry, and we have a really good relationship. But I'm just really happy she told me the story, because I probably would not have been talking to my mother at this stage if she has not, because I would have thought it was just she just didn't want to be a mother, but it wasn't that she didn't want to.
And that is so important. For you probably were afraid to approach her because you saw that something was wrong, and I'm sure you were feeling for her. And I think a lot of us, has walked that path where we notice that something is wrong with our parents and we know things are out of order, but we are so afraid to approach them, because we're not used to having conversations, and we want to encourage people to have conversation with your children, adults and children. It's okay to approach your parents, even though you're thinking, should I? It is important. Approach your parents with respect and ask them, Mom, I'm teaching my nieces and nephews this presently. Say, Mom or Dad, why, I'm noticing this and why. It's okay. Because the only thing they can say is yes or no, or explain further. So that is awesome. And because of that, I know that changed your life. Your mom, when she came to you and started telling you, having that conversation with you, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel better that there was a reason why she was doing the things that she did, and how she was pretty much an absentee parent as an emotional. But it made me be grateful that she didn't abuse me, because she could have, because some people do that to their children that has been through that. So then I started looking at the positive. She was still a good mother. She provided for me. She didn't let anybody else abuse me. So I just started looking at things that could have been, but wasn't. And my kids don't know my mom the way I knew her, so they think she's just Superwoman. So I'm glad she got better in time for my kids, because I'd rather have taken the brunt than them.
So. Oh man, that is so awesome. And
I was built, thank God, with a go get 'em attitude, because I didn't have a lot of people cheering me in my corner. Either I was going to sink or I was going to swim or a rise. So I knew that I didn't have the opportunity to sink, because they have a mom that was going to pat me and pet me up. So I had to go get it and do what I had to do. So that made me stronger. So I became my own cheerleader, so to speak. And my friends thought I was stuck up, but I wasn't stuck up. I had to be all that for myself, because I had nobody else cheering for me.
Wow. And it's funny you say that, because so many times in our journey, people look at us from the outside and they don't know how to approach us, and then they form words that matches what they see, and almost all the time it's incorrect, because people don't understand. Yes, go ahead. You can hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say for my birthdays, because like parents would throw their children parties. My mama never threw me a party, so I started dressing up like a princess every birthday, and that would irritate my friends, but they didn't know why I did it. I made my own self a princess, and that's how I became Princess Precious. So,
wow!
But you never know this journey from the outside. So.
I just like to be silent right here. Because the Precious, it's a lot of that going on today. We are, and I think, do you think that comes from fear, or that we are quick to just judge a person because of what we see? I don't know you, Precious. I don't live with you. I don't see you all the time, and I can just put out a judgment about you, like this is who she is, and that's been done so often, but that is so wrong. Because we don't know each other's journey,
right?
So I'm so glad you're pointing that out, because we really need to take a different approach, especially now, because because God created all of us, and individually He's doing a work in us, and what it's the inside, what's going on the inside, and it's gonna come out. And God had me on this platform like 2 years ago. I'm not totally comfortable, because it's a growth process. and people don't understand what's going on with me in the background. They can see me on social media, but they don't understand, so to judge me of what you see on a platform, it's not a good thing. I think the best thing we can do is see the work of the person. What is the person doing? Is this a positive person? What they're sharing with the world? I think we can look at that and accept that, instead of saying, okay, that person is that person's a show off, that person's so this and that, and we just tear down each other when we get, doing that kind of stuff. So I'm so glad that you're not afraid of putting on those princess outfit, and
I don't do
you're
it
giving
yes. That's why I raised my daughter, always telling her that she's wonderful and she's a princess, because I didn't have that growing up, and they hear it all the time. So they're like, Mom, please, but they don't know where it comes from, because they've been
right.
born. Yeah.
But you should. Okay. Did the fact that you weren't able to have those conversations early on with your mom, do you find yourself doing differently with your children?
Yes, I have an open communication with my children. I always let them know that I'm here to support them, because when I was growing up, if anything would happen, I always would think that my mom wouldn't believe me. So I got in a couple of situations where I couldn't talk to my mom, because I just figured she'd just go beat me, because she ain't gonna believe me, so I'll just leave it alone, when I really was not at fault in the situation, but I was scared to come to my mom, because all I know, I'm gonna get punished. No, my mom didn't abuse me. Let me throw that in for free. But
Right.
will be mad at me, I'm gonna get whooped. So
Clear.
I'm like, oh, let me just move on, So
But oh my God. But the thing is, you were so. The thing is, you were so fearful. Why do you think you were so fearful of her?
because I didn't think she was gonna take my side.
But
Because I
why?
remember a lot of different things I can say. Oh, I'm just not making it up. Oh, that person hit me even when I was little. Well, you probably did something. I'm like, well, what?
Oh,
Okay. So you hear that so much, you're like, well, I ain't even gonna tell my mama, because I know she's not gonna believe me.
got it, got it,
And I
got it.
think maybe because she didn't have anybody that believed in her, so she treated me the same way.
Exactly, exactly. But that conversation you had, and that is such a powerful thing that you were able to get to a point to have that conversation, because you were able to do differently with your children, and it didn't go on from generations. You stopped it right there. Yeah. And that's what we need to understand, that you don't have to continue in that same path, what you've been what was given to you, or how you were dealt, a bad hand, or you can change that, and you, precious, change that, and that's so
Yes,
awesome.
I didn't use it as a crutch.
Yes.
I didn't use it as a crutch
Yes.
at all.
There you go. That's the word right there. You didn't use it as a crutch, because so many people are saying, well, I'm failing because my mom and my daddy, I'm failing. No, that doesn't have to happen. You can change that. You could change that path, because individually, we are created individually to do individual work, and to do marvelous and awesome things on this earth. And I believe everything, just as how you're learning and you learn from your mom, we should use everything as a learning, a guide to get better,
Yes.
to gain wisdom. Get wisdom. Take some time and understand, why is my parents acting this way, or what happened, or and try to add to your life that it's different, it's better, so you can steer the next generation in the right direction. But
I
anyway,
enter other girls, and I'm there for them, and I'm their cheerleader, because I know how it is not to have a cheerleader. I was just strong minded. What if I was weak minded? I could have fell off by the wayside. But I just always had confidence, even when I didn't know I had confidence. But everybody doesn't have that. So
yeah, but where did that confidence come from? You ever wonder, where did you get that confidence?
I just thank the Lord for it. To be honest, I don't know how I got it, but I was born with it. So
Because at some point, because I remember in my life, at some point I was like, I don't want this. You know, sometimes you look at your parents and you be like, okay, you know, some of them be like, I don't want this for myself, and you've got. I'm sure you got to that point that that's not what I want. I want to
Yes, but
be.
taught me stuff like being on time. My mom was always on time for work. She was always good at all her jobs. So even though she didn't tell me these things, I picked it up. Being on time, being professional. My mom has always been professional and on time and all that good stuff. So I did. She didn't sit me down, but I was watching her. So I did learn a lot of stuff from her.
Aha! There it is. There it is. So even though mom wasn't communicating, she was doing some things that you were also watching, and
Yes.
you were able to get that. So she offered you that also, and man, what a blessing, because now you're living an awesome life. I mean, you're raising some beautiful children. It's, everybody may not know your kids or whatever, but I know I got some information. And your kids are so awesome because of what you are putting in them, and other adults, because they have their grandma Veronica, and they have others that are also being that support system. And it takes, we can't do it by ourselves. We can't do life on our own. We can't strength.
We're always truthful with my kids, so they know the story of their grandma. They can't believe it, but we're really honest and straight to the point with them. Like, we don't sugarcoat stuff with them, because the real won't sugarcoat for you.
Along the way, were there others like your peers or people that came to you with their situation, that you, because of what you've been through, you were able to guide them?
No, not in school. No, nobody ever came to me with anything like that. No.
Or even in church, or how were you able to, or you just, it was just basically your children that you were able to mold, or to give this information to build them?
Yes, my children, and through my children, I met their friends. And if I can, kind of tell that a young woman or a young man is going through some things, I was able to pull them to the side and talk to them. So I was able to meet more children through my children. But growing up, no, I didn't have anybody coming up to me or anything like that.
Okay.
But now,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, tell us about what you're doing now, because I think this is where you're able to spread your wings and even show more of your strength. So tell us what you're doing now.
Right now, I'm into girls, not just girls in my group, but any girls. Like, when my son was in school, if I see a girl who got on this is me from childhood. I only had like 2 bras growing up in high school. So if I see a girl that has a bra that's torn, I'll go to Victoria's Secret and buy her bras for the year, and then I'll tell her how beautiful she is, and other things I do is a positive mentor to children that I can see that don't have that, telling them that they can do it. There's a better way. Let's try something different, like ballet or musical or something like that. Something out of the ordinary than football, cheerleading, so they can see another part of the world. So that's what I love doing.
Wow. When did this start? When did you start in this your business? What's the name of your what you're doing now? You're the owner of
Precious Seeds.
You're the owner of Precious Seeds. That's for the youth.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
when did that start? How did you get started in that?
That started about 2 years ago, just seeing the need, because when you have kids that's in school, you're able to see the need of other children. So just seeing the need and being there to fulfill it.
Okay, and where do you is this a group that you meet with on in social media, or?
Yes, we meet once a month, and we'll pick a location, like it may be a park or a restaurant, and we'll do different activities. We'll talk about different discussions or peer pressure or just growing up. And sometimes I may ask them what they want the next session to be, and they'll tell me, and then we'll go from there.
Wow. So did you start praying what to do, or you just felt this leading to do it?
I mean, I always pray, but I didn't pray to start the group because I knew there was a need and I knew I could do it. But we do pray, and we pray for the families. And but I can't say I just got on my knees for more in the spirit to start the group. No, I just seen the need and I was able to fill it, and that's what I did. But I always put God first. So
Yes. Okay, and so how many young ladies are in this group that you're leading?
the group here, I have 5 in my group.
Okay,
5
and
that I'll follow all the way through high school, through their senior year.
okay, and so with this group, you're very open. You're able to speak about things. You encourage them to speak about anything.
Yes, yes, I'm able, with the parents' permission. If it's like a touchy subject, I'll ask the parents, and they'll give me the okay, and then we'll talk about it. We have real discussion. So, and I
Oh
let the girls.
wow,
So
this is awesome. Do you have a plan to take this elsewhere, or you're just in a growing stage now, or?
I haven't been in South Carolina that long, so I'm growing the group as we speak. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay, okay, that's awesome. And also, you're also doing what else are you doing?
Well, I have my own childcare here too. I have one in Orlando, so I have a daycare here. So I work with the little ones, and I'm really into the mentoring, and then we'll go from there. Meaning, take them to different places when COVID is over and things like that.
Okay, and so you have a the name of your company here, your daycare is, what's
Dream
the name
Learning
of?
Academy. Dream
Okay,
Learning.
Juvenile Academy. Okay, and I know you meet a lot of parents also because when you deal
Yes,
with
I.
youth and when you have a daycare, you meet a lot of parents. Do you hear a lot of do you hear a lot of stories from these parents? Are you able to have conversation in guiding them in the right path, stuff like that?
Yes, having a daycare is kind of being like a counselor at the same time. So yes, I have different parents with different situations, and when I don't push upon them, but if they come to me, then I'll talk to them, and then I'll tell them about God. And most of them know about God, but I'll just remind them to pray and let them know I'm praying for them. And if they have, some of the time they have older kids, so I was like, oh, do they want to join the group? And they're like, I appreciate the help. And then their child would, not their high school child would join the group. So yes, I get to talk to parents, not every day, but probably like every other day. And I can tell if you have a problem, and I'm like, you okay? And then we'll start from there and go on into the situation.
Wow, that is so awesome. And when it comes to God, because we live in a society that I think society is trying to get us not to say anything about God. Is who you are. Do you find a resistance of people wanting to hear about what God is doing in your life, or in your ministry to people? Do you find a resistance, or do you find that people don't believe, or,
I
or
haven't
what are you
found
facing?
the most when I talk to people, I haven't found anyone that actually don't believe in God. What they've seen is like their family members who say they saved, but they're backstabbers or they're hypocrites. So I try to guide them through that. Not everybody's like that, and all Christians, no Christian is what is it? No Christian is perfect. So we go from there, and then I move on to it. But I don't, go too deep or right off the bat with them. We work our way up, and then at the end, they're like, "Oh, okay, I understand now." Because I tell them I'm a Christian, but I still have fun. I'm a Christian, but I'm not in church every single day, and I don't read the word for 5 hours a day, and I'm just a normal person. I am saved, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you are," and we go from there.
And I think and this is good because a lot of people feel that as soon as you say God, the first they're thinking about, I'm not going to church, or and they feel it's all about going in the building, and
Yes, I'm a Christian. I've never talked in tongues, and I've never caught the Holy Ghost.
but
Never.
that doesn't mean you're not saved.
Yeah.
That
But
doesn't mean
I
you're
used
not
to think
saved.
if you haven't did that growing up, then you wasn't a Christian. But I know that I am a Christian today. But I've never shouted, and I've never spoken tongues or ran around the church. Not once. Not yet. So
Don't you dare talk about running around church because I've done it.
I don't. You can do it. I just never did it.
No,
Nothing wrong with it.
yes, I know. I'm just joking. No, because I mean, I've run around the church before. I think it's based on the environment you've been that you've been brought up in, because in
I've been a
my
little
environment,
tainted. Yeah, I've been a little tainted. A little tainted.
because I grew up in an environment that we get in the spirit, we dance, we shout, we run around the church. It's just that excitement. And so when I got out of that and I saw that some people were doing it, I'm like, everybody's
Got
not the same.
at the altar for the same thing every Sunday at the altar for the same thing. I'm like, okay, all right. So
When does it stop?
so I didn't see any change with people I personally know. So that's what kind of turned me off from that.
Right, exactly. Because a lot of people have this misconception that it takes all of that run around the church, jumping, dancing. It takes all that to be a Christian. No, it's your relationship with Christ. You don't even have to shout. There are some people that may shout like myself. There are some people that have a quieter voice. There are some people that dance, and there's some that just move. So it's based on you and the Lord. Where you're coming from. It's okay. It's not to the most important thing is not to get caught up into the movement, the action, right, and all that stuff. Is what's in your heart. What is going on in there? Is God? Are you allowing God to change you? Are you being Christ-like? Are you bearing the fruit of the Spirit? It's all of that. Yes. Everything else. If you want to go jump and dance, that's okay. But that's it's not that doesn't get you into heaven, or in the right path, I should say. So it's important to know Christ for yourself, and not trying to be like me or trying to be like someone else. But what is your relationship with God? It's getting to know Him. It's this moment you spend with Him, like how you praying and the Lord is guiding you, because He placed those things on your heart. Right. And I believe that, especially when you accept Christ as as your Savior, He guides you. He leads you into fulfilling His purpose on earth, and you're doing just that.
Yes. Now my relationship with Him now is, if I'm about to do something that I know I don't have no business, I'll get the Precious, you know better than that. That's not pleasing to God, and I'll just stop myself because I have a relationship and I don't want to do anything that's not like Christ. Even though I do some stuff, but the majority. So now I don't want to do that. That's not the right thing to do, Precious. So I can talk to myself now.
Yes. And that's the Holy Spirit guiding you. He is the one that guides you. There are times, just like children, we're gonna stray to the left or to the right. God is like, This is the path, and it's for us to obey the voice of the Holy Spirit, because none of us there are people that thinking, for the people that think that they have to be, that it's a place of you have to be perfect. It's not being perfect, but it's allowing yourself to grow, because right, it's a growing, it's a process thing, and that means that it's learning to submit to Christ and allow Him, His path to fill you, His way to fill you. And because we're human and we're going to get into the feeling of doing my own thing, and we stray. Even our thoughts, we stray. We don't have to do anything like pick up a gun and kill somebody or go tell a lie. We can think the wrong things, but it's always fair to say, God, forgive me, help me, Lord, and get on the path. Stay on the path, because the Lord is watching the heart.
Yes, and I feel like the Lord has been too good to me for me to go astray. Like He's just been too good for me. So that keeps me also. Even if I want to get on the phone and gossip, I'm like, Precious, that ain't right. So I'll just change the subject or something like that.
Yeah,
because do club, I don't shoot people, and I don't do other stuff like that. But it's those little things like backbiting or people, the little stuff. So in my life, anyway. Yes, unforgiveness. Yes, I had to let that go too.
Yes, and that's what it's about. The path is acknowledge who you are and say, Lord, here I am, and I have these that I need to, remove from my life, and the Lord will take you through the process, and you become stronger, and eventually you realize, okay, I'm not as weak as I used to be. You know what I mean? We become stronger.
you get around someone and you start feeling some way, check yourself. My mom always give a lot of credit to Mr. Polite, Dr. Polite, about how she learns from him how to, if you get around somebody and you start feeling, check yourself, what's really going on. And then I check me. So I learned that from my mom. And she always
Yes.
gives Dr. Polite also. So just checking
Yes.
yourself.
Yes, and I do learn a lot from Dr. Polite too, my husband. He is, yeah, he's awesome. I've learned so much. And yes, the first, why am I feeling uncomfortable? What's going on? And we have to always check ourselves, because we spend a lot of time probably criticizing the next person, when we all need to be working on ourselves. So I can't point at you when I have some stuff going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Criticize as if, okay, you're the only one. I need to acknowledge that, hey, I'm just like you, but I've grown in this area to give you some information. That's all I'm doing. I'm giving you some information because I've grown in this area and I see that it works. So here, this is what God is saying. This is what the kingdom is about. And I think if we live our lives that way and looking within everything, look at myself. Am I growing? What am I doing? Why did I allow that person to upset me? Why did we have to give an account for our own salvation. We can't say, well,
point fingers, because they may be not as strong in that area and I might have another area. Their area just not my area. So I have no room to point any fingers. So, and sometimes you can find yourself doing that with me, and I have to quickly check myself, like, get yourself together, precious. And I'll go on about my day.
What to get your insight on this, because we're about the kingdom, do you think that people, from what you can see, because we can tell by the fruits of what we bear, that's what the Lord said, you'll know us by our fruits, and that's why it's important to grow and to be strong in our, turn our weaknesses into strength, because the kingdom is about growth. Do you think that people are really giving themselves to the process, or are they more running away from it, from what you can see?
I think everybody's different, so I can't really give a precise answer on that, because I think everybody's different, so I can't give too much on that.
Okay. Do you think that let me change the question, try to turn it another way. When for the church, because the church is in trouble right now. From what you can see, I know that people have changed their lives and they're good pastors, but do you think that there are people that have just gone to church and just going, and they're not really giving themselves to the process?
Yes, I do believe a lot of people when I was first going to church, I was just going. I was hearing the word, but not applying the word. So yes, I think a lot of people do that until you have a personal encounter with him. I did it for many years, just to go to church, just to say I went. Or if I had a nice outfit that night, I stayed a little longer. But, so until you have that, and I don't know when that a person has that relationship, only you know when you have that encounter with God to change your life. But yes, for many years, I went to church just to go. I may have heard a little piece of word, but by the time I got home, I had forgot it. So it didn't really do me any good. So
and I'm not saying to because we have to take note of what's going on. Okay, we are ministers. You are a minister, and we need to be able to see what's going on so that we can reach people. It is a fact that a message being preached on Sunday may not reach everyone. Okay, everyone is there for different reasons. Like just like you said, you go there because maybe your outfit, you stay longer or whatever. People are going for different reasons, and it's so important that to understand that everyone in church, going to church is not what makes you close to God. Going to church is not just like how you and I, because I've done the same thing. I grew up in a church. but I did church with lacking understanding. And for the people, because we know we've been there, and we have also seen others done the same thing. We can see it. Um, that people go just to go. But what
Right.
I want to do is to encourage for people that are just going to the building, to encourage that they're to begin to have that relationship with God. It's connecting with God. You don't have to be in the church building. Be in your home. You can begin to connect with God, saying, "Here, God, I want to serve you. I want to experience you more than being in a building. I want to experience you, one on one. Because that's what it's all about. So many people are following and are running the wrong direction right now because they were just churchgoers. They just because their parents or somebody else, their family members serve God, so they just say, "Well, I'm a Christian," because they say they were Christian. But it's important to understand that that's not what it's supposed to be. It's important to have a relationship. That's all, a relationship with God.
And also, you have to take time to actually read the Bible too.
Yes.
And today, you don't have to read it like reading it. You can go on Bible on tape, or it's so many other outlets to actually learn the word. So it's not like
Yes.
back in the day where you have to open up the Bible. Because I
Right.
know I stick it in my ear and listen to it throughout the day. But if I had to actually open up the pages, I probably would not have read as much. So
Right. And even Google, because sometimes I don't remember where to find the
yeah,
scripture.
so
I put
really,
it.
there's no excuse.
No
There's
excuse.
no excuse.
Exactly. Exactly. And just like how you step out, I want the listeners, just as how Precious, you step out and you knew, you're like, okay, this is not it. That was the Lord. That was the Lord guiding you, saying, "Oh, Precious, this is not it." And I believe that God is speaking to every person on earth to guide us, to say, "Hey, if you're in the wrong place, if you're, maybe your parents weren't there for you, the Lord is saying, hey, this is not it. Here is the path." And you, thank God, you said, you listened, and you were able to pick up and to get wisdom and to walk in your purpose. You are embracing life, and
You do it.
you
No,
have
I'm
to
saying that you have
desire it.
to want it for yourself.
Yes, you gotta want it. And that's the thing, because if you don't want it, then it's not good. Nothing is gonna happen. So I really thank God for your life, for what you're doing, Precious. I God bless you and your family. As you continue to live the life you're living, and just speaking into these young people, young girls, or young people's lives. Continue to do so. Continue to pray and seek God, because there's always we can always go further.
Yes.
With God, it's limitless. So I pray that as you continue to speak into these young girls' lives, or the people that you meet, I pray that you will continue, and that you will reach communities, nations. It'll go far. I always say, I'd love to say, I hope you'll be able to go on a platform, the Tyler Perry platform, the Oprah platform. That your voice can be heard, because you're doing great and awesome things. It's so funny, the good things the world don't really want to hear about nowadays. The good things that's happening, it's not magnified. But I pray that your ministry, which is what God has given you, what God is doing through you, I pray it goes far, and I pray it goes wide, because you have so much to offer, and you are so super young.
And
you know
Browning.
it's the Lord says, best do things now while you're young and vibrant, because when we get older, to that age that we can be in pain, we can't move, or we can't, but do all that you can now. Well, get in there 100%. Just do it. So continue to pray, and I pray that that those that are listening to this message, will get the understanding that is there's a starting point to everything. You don't have to fall under that spell of that generational spell that because my mama was, or my grandmother and grandfather, because of what happened back then, that you have to fall into that same line or that same trap. You can
You have to
do.
start like from this point. You have to start from today. No matter if
Yeah.
have a plan, just start from today. Because if
Yes,
you
start
will
where
have
you are.
excuse. Yeah, start where you are.
Yeah. Surround yourself with the right people, because I'm sure while you were doing this, you didn't hang out with people that were negative and doing nothing with their lives, right?
Correct. That's what I tell my kids, and that's what I tell the girls. You have to hang around people who you want to become like. So
Yeah.
people who are going places. Don't hang around with the buzzards, because that's what you're going to be if you keep hanging around them. So yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So again, thank you so much for all that you're doing and contributing to into our society. Thank you for allowing God to guide you and to give you a testimony. And I pray that your children, this is what I want to ask you to, when your children, when they ask you about God, how do they respond to you about God?
Okay. My daughter pretty much goes with the flow. I have a 3-year-old. I have a Haley. I have a 13-year-old Caitlin. I have my son RJ, who's Caitlin is smart too, but RJ is very smart. So I have to combat with him about, well, how do you know God is real? And I have a friend who doesn't believe in God, and they are a nice person, so I have to like really break it down to him. There's a God. When I was growing up, there was a God. I ain't asked no other questions. This is just a God. My son is more of what my friend said, so I have to go back and forth. He believe in God, but he have all these other things going on, and he always questioning. So
And
I have
that's
to
awesome. That's the
talk to him.
Precious. That's the generation that's coming up. They are not gonna be like us, being passive, and they're gonna ask. They're gonna stand in your face and they're gonna ask questions.
Like, how do you
And
know the Bible get changed? I was like, when I was growing up, you just knew that was the Bible. I didn't ask any other questions.
exactly, exactly.
Right.
Whatever we're taught, that's what we took. And that okay, because my mama said that, my daddy said that, or because the pastor said. We just went along with it. This
Now he
generation.
everything, and I have to ask questions. Sometimes I'll say, "Come back to me tomorrow," because I got to think about it, pray about it. And you can't tell him anything.
And that is so
Sometimes
good.
I wish he was a little slow, but he ain't slow.
But the main thing is that you're not running, you're not telling him to get away from me, or you're not blocking him, and you're open to him.
Yes, I am.
Yes, and that's
I don't beat him over the head with the Bible. We sit down, we talk about it, but I don't just beat him over the head. I have to answer his questions, and if I don't know, I tell him to call Grandma. She's available.
There you go. Man, this is awesome, because I wasn't able. I approached my pastor back then, I think that was in the 80s or so. I approached my pastor, asked him some questions like, why do we have to wear dresses only? Why do we have to wear? And it was considered disrespectful.
Right.
I shouldn't question the pastor's authority. But like I said, a generation is coming up that they don't care who you are. Please tell me, why do I have to do this, or why?
Sometimes I have to say, he being disrespectful, or he want to be more knowledgeable. Let me see. But
right, exactly. But it's so important to explain. Give an explanation of why do I live my faith? Why am I going this direction? And to guide your children. It's they want to be led. That's why the Lord gave children parents to lead them. And how can you lead your children and tell them about God if you yourself don't know him? So it's so important for you to know him. And these kids, man, oh Lord, I think kids that God's been raised.
If there's something that he don't receive from me, Lord, put somebody in his life for him to tell them the same thing, that he can receive it from them. So
yes, because you're not going to know everything.
Yeah.
So
I put somebody in his life or their life where they can hear them if they can't hear me. So I pray that constantly.
And I love that because you're not getting like mad and like, man, forget you or get out my face. But you're honestly saying, and that's a lesson. That's something
Now,
that you're.
sometimes I do say get out my face, but then after I get it together, I come back and say, no, I shouldn't have said that. But sometimes I do. So.
But they know that's not like being harmful, or you're doing it from a deceitful heart or whatever. You're just saying that. But it's important. Parents, it's important to answer your children and let them see that you don't know. If you don't know, you say you don't know, and just like you said, Precious, and but you're gonna help them to get that information and just gonna leave them hanging. That's the point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Parents don't know everything. And children need to understand that because they're getting older and they need to understand, hey, you're not going to be perfect in everything. You're not going to have all the answers, but you open up your heart and your everything to seek for the answer, and that's it. Just be truthful. But anyway,
I tell my ask God to show him.
Yes.
That's what I say. Say, God, show me you. And he'll do that. I don't know how, in what way, but I know he will.
Yes. And because there are things I didn't know, even in my relationship with my husband, I didn't understand something he said one time, and I went to the Lord about it. Right then and there, the Lord gave me the answer. So things that we don't know, even as believers, we can go and ask the Lord, and because the Holy Spirit is there to guide us into all truth, so we can, so it's all good. But anyway, thank you so much, Precious, for your awesome testimony. Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. And God bless you, everyone. I pray that this testimony will be an inspiration to you, that you will understand that you're not alone, that there's nothing new under the sun. And I pray that Precious testimony will be an encouragement to you, will help you to also share your testimony. This has been Journey to Salvation. I'm your host, Arlene. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong in God. God bless you.
God bless you.
Watching Journey to Salvation, where people share their testimonies of faith. If you would like to be a guest on the show, please email us at info@arlenepoliteministries.com. Now, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Arlene Polite Ministries. Give me a like and then share with your friends. Thanks again for watching Journey to Salvation.